guys, it's Brant, and I'm back with another 80s album retrospective video. And today I'm going to be talking about this album right here. This is 1983's Ronnie James Dio of the band Dio with Holy Diver. Let's get right into talking about this one. Holy Diver is the debut album by the band Dio, released on May 25th, 1983. It was recorded at Sound City Studios in Van Nuys, California in early 1983 and was produced by Ronnie James Dio. Now, Dio, he sang and played synthesizer in the band, and before this, he had been in Rainbow and he had been in Black Sabbath. It was his first stint in Black Sabbath. Ronnie recruited Vinny Appice, or Appice, however you want to say it, on drums, and he played with him in Black Sabbath. He also recruited Jimmy Bain, who played with Ronnie in Rainbow, and he plays on bass and keyboards. Vinny played the drums, and he recruited a young guitarist by the name of Vivian Campbell, who came from the band Sweet Revenge. The album was hailed by critics as Dio's best work, and it sold 500,000 copies and was certified gold on September 12th, 1984, and it was certified platinum on March 21st, 1989, with a sales of 1 million. The album had two singles: Holy Diver, that was released in August of 1983, and Rainbow in the Dark, that was released in October of... Now, talking about the packaging, I had this on album, and I tell you what, you go to look for albums like this and for albums like Back in Black and my album up here I've got of Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love. You go to look for those albums in my area, at least at record stores, and you can't find them. And I like finding things in the wild. And even online, these things are going for $20 and $30. So I got it on CD. I used to have it on album. This came out when I was around, I just turned 14 when this came out. Now, my retrospect about this, before we talk about the cover, I remember I used to go hang out at my cousin Richard's house all the time, and it was my mom's sister's son. And so I used to go over there and hang out with my cousins, and they were older than me. I was 14. They were probably 16, 17 years old. And I remember hanging out with them one day, and they were playing this album. And I remember looking at the cover and seeing the demon on there, or, you know, whatever. It's Murray. His name's Murray. That's the mascot. And you look at this cover, he's got this chain, and he's got it wrapped around the priest down here. And, you know, it looks like he's either... the chain's wrapped around him and the priest is looking like, oh shit, you know, and, you know, it looks like he's getting ready to pull him or jerk him down. I can't tell which. I imagine he's, you know, taking him down. But I remember this cover, and this cover just being fantastic. And, you know, there was that whole thing that you took, if you took Dio and spelled it backwards or turned it backwards or upside down, it spelled devil. And I remember, you know, that was like, oh. And this was back when bands had the coolest logos. You know, everybody always used to draw the Motley Crue logo. And they used to always try to draw the Def Leppard logo. And I've got that album there that was a record store release. And that's a clear vinyl. And it's got that Dio logo, and that's, you know, badass too. But talking about this packaging here, it's got the cover, and then the back just, you know, look like that. It's got the tracks on it, and CD. You know, CDs are nothing to write home about. And but the cool thing about this packaging is the way that the back. I like this, how the back kind of wraps around. It gives you the full picture. That's really cool. I thought that was really cool in that. And so when you get into the book here, it just has a montage picture here on the left, or on the right, and track listing there. We'll get into those in a little bit. And then it's like those who created, those who supported, talking about the band members. And we already talked about this. It's Ronnie James Dio. And, then it talks about the engineers. Probably people, those who labored, management, fan clubs, those who supported. And it's just people their way of thinking. And then they have at the back, they have another montage. And then they have this little thing here that says notes. And it just kind of talks about the beginning of Dio and how Dio just came to be. And so Dio is actually a band. Ronnie James Dio is the lead singer, but Dio is actually a band. And so let's get into these tracks and let's talk about these tracks. My retrospective of this, like I said, this came out, I probably would have heard this in the summer. And I remember this being this is always kind of like a summer album for me. Just some of the songs that's on it, when I hear them, I just think of summer. And I remember just jamming this album. I didn't have it at the time. So the only time I got to hear it was when I went over to my cousin Richard's house with my cousin Belinda, who was his sister. And I'd go over there and they had this room that had a stereo and stuff like that in it. And they probably smoked pot. I don't know. Like I said, they were all older than me. And so I didn't really pay much attention to that. I was just over there listening to the music. I never got into pot or drugs or anything like that, so it just wasn't my deal. But I used to love going over there and listening to this album. And then I eventually bought it. I think I got it through RCA or Columbia House on my own. But let's talk about the songs. So, Stand Up and Shout.
It's the same old song. You gotta be somewhere at some time, and they never let you fly.
This is the first song. And on these, I basically decided to score with asterisks. And so I give this, or stars, I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. I love the fast drum fills on this, the fast driving riff. This is a great way to start an album. It's just that driving, and the drum fills that Vinny does. It's just crazy. He's almost mechanical. Him and his brother Carmine are just two beasts of drummers. And somebody that I've looked up to and, just always aspired to. But Stand Up and Shout, it's a great way to start an album. I give it 4 stars. And then the second song, Holy Diver.
Holy diver, you've been down too long in the midnight sea. Oh, what's because...
Classic, 5 stars. I love this song. It's one of my favorites. It is the classic. And I'm not the biggest fan of this whole minute-and-a-half long interlude that gets cut off whenever you hear it on the radio. It just starts with that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And what an iconic riff. That's one of those riffs when you hear it, you know what it is. But almost a minute and a half, it's just kind of this synthesizer. Ronnie just being creative on the synthesizer. And I get it. He's just trying to set the mood for the song. But I love that song. Even with that interlude, I still love that song. I give that 5 stars. And then you go on to the next track, Gypsy. Gypsy gets 4 stars from me. I love the scream at the beginning. I love Gypsy. Love the scream at the beginning of it. And then the groove it sets into and that riff. And Ronnie, he just sounds great. Everybody on this album just sounds great. Vivian is kicking ass. Ronnie's kicking ass. Everybody on this is just kicking ass on this album. So Gypsy, I give it 4 stars. It's a great, great song. And then Caught in the Middle. Caught in the Middle probably lulls a little bit for me. I scored a 3, but Ronnie still sounds so good. And this one embodies what I consider what 80's early 80's rock sounds like. I don't like it as much as the other ones. It's probably the low point for me on the album, but it's still a good song. I score it 3 stars out of 5 stars. It's still 3 stars. So I still like Caught in the Middle. It's great. Don't Talk to Strangers.
'Cause they love
last track on the first side. And what a way to end it. He does it a lot on this album. He will start off soft with some kind of little thing, and then about a minute in, he just kicks you into teeth. And that's what he does with this one. He starts off soft. Ronnie's in this falsetto voice, don't talk to strangers. And every time I hear this title, I always think about, what song you thinking about? That's right. Don't talk to strangers, baby, don't you talk. Rick Springfield. So I hear that. I hear don't talk to strangers. But this is a good song. He starts in with that falsetto voice, and I kept waiting for it just to kick in, and then all of a sudden, there's that silence, and he goes, and they only bring you down, and then it kicks into that, boom, those chords and that riff. And there's this one lyric. I love the lyric and the way he sings it. When he says, I'm anger contained. I mean, it's like he changes his voice. And it's just freaking, or either the devil's singing along with him. Maybe he's got Murray in the studio with him. I don't know. But it's just, when I hear that, I get freaking chills. I mean, it's just freaking amazing. That runaway. It's just amazing. And the solo on this song, like so many others, Vivian just blisters this album with his solos. If you want to hear a great 80s metal, early 80s metal soloist and guitarist, check out Vivian on this album. So, I mean, that song, just forget about it. But I score it 4 stars out of 5. It's a great song. So then we flip the vinyl, or in the CD, we just let it keep playing. We're going to go to Straight to the Heart, or Straight Through the Heart.
Hanging from the cobwebs in your mind, it looks like a long.
And I give this 4 out of 5 stars. I love the drums. I love the riff. Songs like this song, if you listen to this song, songs like this song is what laid the foundation for the music and the metal that would come on later in the 80s. If you listen to it, it has all the formula. It has all the fundamental building blocks for what will become 80s metal. And if you add a bunch of Aquanet to it and some lipstick and rouge and eyeshadow, it's what would become Poison and bands like that. And I'm not slighting them. I'm just saying they glammed it up a little bit. But if you strip the glam away and the polish and the nail polish and the makeup and the Aquanet, this is what you hear. So I love Straight Through the Heart. I give it 4 stars out of 5. So we go on to the next song, and that's Invisible.
She had 13 years of teenage tears, never a helping hand.
And I give this song 4 out of 5 stars. This album's very near perfect. But I remember Invisible. And I remember whenever I had this on my own, and I used to close the door to my room, and I'd sit in there and air drum or play my drums. Or I only had a certain time of the day I could play my drums. So if I wasn't playing my drums, actually beating on them, I was in there air drumming, or I was up acting like I was a lead singer, jumping, doing splits or I wasn't somersaults because I was a tubby kid. But the first minute this song is trippy. And it's introspective. It's another one of those songs that starts off kind of soft. And then it goes to that brief silence. And then it kicks in. It kicks you into teeth. And I remember dancing around my room going, I can be invincible. Singing that. Or invisible. Singing I can be invisible if I can sing the right words. And I remember just dancing around my room. And I love that part where he's like, I can be. And it kind of fades off. It's just classic. I mean, it's a classic song. And so we get to the next track, the next to the last track, the other classic on this album, Rainbow in the Dark.
When there's lightning, it always brings me down.
Rainbow in the Dark, I give it 5 stars out of 5 stars. It's my favorite song on the album. There's a bunch of good songs. Almost every song on this album is good. Some just must, in my opinion, much better than others. But there's not a skippable track on this album. I don't skip any of them because every one of them are different, but in a way they all have the same theme and the same feel to them. It's a very, very well done album. But Rainbow in the Dark, I love that suspended note at the beginning, that bah, bah, you know, and it starts in. And the keyboard, if I could slight this song any, it would be the keyboard to me is a little too far up in the mix. I would like it pulled back a little bit because the guitar is just back there doing those notes and hitting those harmonics. And the keyboard's like beep, 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 you know, like way in your face. And I would like that to be pulled back a little bit. That's how I would do if I mixed it. But, you know, 80s metal, that's what you get. You get loud synthesizers and loud keyboards. So, but still, a 5 out of 5 stars. And then the last track on the album, Ronnie ends it in a most amazing way. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Shame on the Night. It's just an awesome song. The way the music drops during the verse, and it's just that bass and the guitar, or the bass guitar and the drums, just that boom, 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 you know, playing. It's a ride because it goes up and down, just like this album does. It has moments of silence, moments of being quiet, and then kicking you in the face, kicking your teeth in, or punching you in the face, then pulling it back. And I'm all about dynamics. I love dynamics in songs. And a song just staying loud and just getting loud and staying at 10 up here, to me, at the very top, it just gets old after a while. It just rattles your brain and you're like, but I like a song to start here, then go up, then drop back down, and then build up over time and then drop back down. I love that. It's like a roller coaster. But Ronnie's voice on this whole album, he's just amazing. Self-produced, handpicked his band, and it's a classic. You can't go wrong with this album right here. So if you've not spun this one in a while, I recommend. It is a great summer album. Spin this one out by the pool. Spin this one while you are, spin it, play it. Play it out by the pool. Play it while you're driving down the road on a road trip or something, or on the way to the beach. Turn the windows down and crank this fucker up because it is really good. A really good album. I'd give this album probably overall 4 out of 5 stars. It's not a perfect album, but it is very, very, very good. And I can see how everybody looks back at this album as an influence that influenced them somehow, and the members of this band influenced them somehow. So, Ronnie James Dio, Holy Diver. That's my 80s retrospective. If you enjoyed this video, click subscribe. Click the bell notification so you get notifications. Leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this album. Do you like this album? What songs do you like on this album? What do you disagree with me about? I like hearing if you agree, if you disagree. I like having that conversation, and we can have it down in the comments. I'll have much, much more retro videos coming. My next retro video is going to be this video, this album right here. Shout at the Devil from Motley Crue. And oh man, I cannot wait. So that is my sealed copy, and I'm going to open it in my retrospective video of that. So be looking forward to that in the next few weeks. I'm Brant with In My Head channel. I appreciate each and every one of you who watch. Leave comments, thumbs up. Check out my social media down there. And check out my Patreon if you've never checked it out. You can see some exclusive things, some behind-the-scene things, some weekly blogs, some weekly vlogs for as little as $1 a month. That supports me, puts money back into so I can buy more albums for you to review. I've got some here just off of frame there that just came in today that I'm going to be reviewing and opening up in upcoming videos. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.